In economics, we have studied how people are forced to make decisions because of scarcity. And when you're thinking like an economist, remember that you need to make a conscious effort to think of all of your choices, the good and bad of each choice, before you choose, right? Because every decision has a cost to it. Now, in talking about the decision-making process, which choice should you choose? Well, according to economists, you should choose the one right here, where the costs are less than the benefit. So as you are making decisions in life, you should always choose the option where the cost is less than the benefit. In other words, you're getting more out of it than what it cost you. Get more than you give up. That's what economists say. And we can actually study that on a model, another economic model. I won't show you that one right now, but I will show it to you tomorrow in class. No matter what model an economist uses, all you need to really understand is we're looking at how people, businesses, governments are making choices about their scarce resources. Now, not all economists agree on solutions to problems, right? And so we can divide up problems into different ways or different levels to study them, a little bit more effectively. Okay, so you will actually see in economics that there are some problems that we look at that are called macroeconomic problems or decisions, okay? And macroeconomics is studying choices made by big groups within society. Or we could talk about big problems in society would be a macroeconomic analysis, okay? For example, if we are looking at unemployment in the United States, that would be a macroeconomic study, okay? We can also look at that same issue of unemployment on a micro level. If you can see there, number 2 is microeconomics, all right? So looking at unemployment with a microscope, like in microeconomics, we would be looking at perhaps unemployment in our city, in Yuma, Arizona, which happens to be the highest level of unemployment in the United States currently. Last month was measured at 32% almost unemployment. So if we were just looking at unemployment in Yuma, Arizona, that would be a micro analysis. Okay? So depending on how an economist look at issues will help them to come up to a solution. Are we looking at something in a macro level or a micro level? I like to think of it kind of like a pizza. Okay, here's my pizza. Doesn't it look yummy? Right, here's my pepperoni on here. Yummy, yummy. And so a microeconomic study would be just one piece of that pizza. Unemployment in Yuma. Okay? A macroeconomic study would be the whole pizza. Okay? Unemployment in the United States, for example. So this would be in the United States. Okay? You could probably imagine how an economist just looking at one piece, like right there, just Yuma, unemployment in Yuma is a big deal, right? So they would be looking at just what's going on in Yuma, as opposed to an economist who is looking at unemployment in the whole United States. Well, in the United States, it's only at about 7-8%. That's not too bad. So is it really a big issue or concern of our governments? So you can see, depending on your viewpoint in a micro or a macro level, depends on the solution you come with. Okay? So looking at things in different ways will help you to, like we said, given your perspective, you may come up with a different solution. The different solutions that economists come up with basically becomes different schools in economics, different points of view, all right? And we like to say that not one school is right or one school is wrong, okay? No matter if you're looking at economics in a macro way or a micro way, neither of those are wrong and right, okay? Because it all just depends on your perspective, what guides you, okay? Now remember, economists do use science. They use a scientific method. They form hypotheses. They use a particular way of doing things in order to study problems. So they're not just making stuff up. They're using science to help them to formulate theories and to solve complicated problems. But depending on their value system and what guides them, what kind of economic thought or school that they're under, will help them come up with a solution. Okay? So let's bring it back to you in closing this lesson, is what values guide you? Okay? So you perhaps have been taught certain morals or values from your parents, and maybe you've learned some on your own through your own life experiences. So what helps guide you in your decision making? What's important to you? Remember that your values may be different than mine. And so economists, I would wrap this up in saying that economists say make a rational choice. Okay? Now what is a rational choice? You choose the option with the best perceived value. Okay, now is that the one that I would choose? Maybe, maybe not. It just kind of depends on your background, your knowledge, your life experiences, what's important to you. Okay? So in that same way that you make personal judgment calls and decisions, economists use the same thing to guide their research. Okay? So that wraps up the chapter. I do want you today, finishing up the chapter, in your summary box, right? In your summary box, I call it a sum box, I want you to do kind of a self-assessment of the different topics that we've covered in this chapter. Because tomorrow when you get to class, excuse me, tomorrow when you get in class, we're going to be reviewing for the test. And so I want you to create a self-assessment so that I know where your weaknesses are and where you feel your strengths are. Okay? So let me show you an example. Make my picture smaller here. I don't know if you can see that. Okay? But go ahead and draw this in your summary box, and it doesn't have to be huge. Okay? It would be nice if you use colors, but whatever works for you. You can see that I have your levels there. Okay? Going right up here. Am I a novice, apprentice, practitioner, or am I an expert? Notice that here on this axis, we're creating a model for our self-assessment. Isn't this cool? But on this axis, we have the different topics in this chapter. Okay, do you know what the definition of economics is and what are the factors of production? Well, I do. I'm an expert. Okay, so you make your bar graph showing me where you are, how comfortable you feel with that topic. The day 2 was scarcity. We talked about scarcity. How do you feel your knowledge is for scarcity? Day 3 was opportunity cost and trade-offs, right, where we looked at how people make decisions and how they will sacrifice when deciding. Day 4 was on the production possibility curve. That's when I first introduced you to an economic model. So how comfortable are you with a production possibility curve? And then, of course, the last day was today's lesson, okay? Wrapping up the chapter. How do you feel overall about using models, how economists look at things in a macro way or a micro way? Oh, that kind of sounded like microwave. That was weird, right? Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow in class. Bye.